All right, multi-chain activity. We are going to ask our speakers and those that would like to talk to our speakers just to file out to the hallway. We see the room filling up here. So I'm just going to ask a quick question, and you guys can just shout out. What would you say is the favorite part of Proof of Talk so far for you? Just shout out. Food, people, conversations, networking, what? The building. Oh, forget the conference. It's all about the Louvre. Okay, I got you. All right, I love that. I love the honesty. I love it. What else? Go ahead, shout it out. Huh? The conference? Content. Yes, someone actually here for the content. I love that. All right, what else? We got the building, what, Louvre, we got content. What else? People. Yes, I love that. We're going to be giving prizes out, by the way. Not me. I won't be. All right, one more. Huh? Products? Yes. Oh, I love that. Products. So good content, people, the building, people, and products. All right, so all of that equals quality, which means everyone here is going to be back next year, right? Is that what this means? All right, awesome. Well, we have another amazing panel joining us, and they're going to be talking about market fit and go-to-market, GTM. And we're going to start with Soledad Contreras. Welcome to the stage, and she's with CoinDesk. Let's give her a big round of applause. And she's followed by Keli Callaghan from Arrington Capital. Nice round of applause for Keli. Owen Simonin, please come to the stage from Meria. Amanda Cassatt, please come to the stage, and she's with Serotonin. Last but not least, drum roll, please. All right, Bogdan, please come to the stage. Bogdan Radulescu, please come to the stage from Runia.io.
Hello. Bogdan, we realized you are twice.
Expect double from you.
Yes, exactly. You need to speak twice. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you have refueled and recharged during the lunch break. We have a very exciting session on go-to-market strategies here at Proof of Talk. Before we dive in, it's quite nice to be sitting on this side. I just wanted to take a moment to say how lucky we are to be able to have this conversation in this glorious setting with these, paintings that are centuries old, and the building itself, it's beautiful. So we are very lucky to be here. My name is Sol. I am the Director of Partnerships at CoinDesk, and we have a stellar lineup of speakers here this afternoon, a very diverse pool of talent, and I would like to start by introducing them to you all. So if you could give us just a minute on who you are, why you're here. Bogdan, first.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time being here, hosting. Also, thank you for the invitation to this panel. My name is Bogdan Radulescu. I co-founded one of the biggest music festivals in the world right now. It's called UNTOLD, started in Europe, expanded to UAE, Dubai. Got into the Web3 industry and space not a long time ago. Today we are here with Runa. It's a new project, an ecosystem that helps the live and entertainment industry to basically have access to better solutions, more secure, more fast, that is handling all the access payments and ticketing for the consumer. And we're just launching in September. And the solution that we have and the ecosystem will be already used in the day of the launch by 3 million clients. This is us, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Cassatt, aka Amanda.eth. I'm the founder and CEO of Serotonin. I started working on Ethereum stuff in 2015, back when it was the Ethereum project. Became the first chief marketing officer of Consensus, where we brought Ethereum to market along with MetaMask, Infura, Truffle, Gitcoin, and also hundreds of other things that didn't work, but learned a lot from those too. Built the first Web3 marketing team, and after about 4 years there, started Serotonin, now the largest Web3 native marketing agency and product studio. What else can I say? I think that's a good start.
Very good start. Thank you, Amanda. Owen?
Hello, everybody. Thanks today for your time. My name is Owen Simonin. I'm creating content around blockchain and cryptocurrency on the internet from 2017. But I was also creating a company. Meria is an investment company providing financial services through blockchain for individuals, enterprise, but also institution. And we are also running the Ash Consulting, a marketing and communication company, helping mainly international projects to communicate and to reach French users, or French users to find funds and to communicate at the international.
Thank you. Keli?
Tough acts to follow. Keli Callaghan, I am currently a partner at Arrington Capital. I've been in the crypto space for 6 or 7 years, was a CMO at Algorand, brand, marketing, comms, BD growth, all those strategies that catapulted that from nothing. At Arrington Capital, we're a hedge fund. We have both the liquid trading side and 250 private investments. We like to write really early stage checks and be hands-on in terms of go-to-market and messaging and communicating what those early and generally technical founders are doing.
Excellent. Thank you, Keli. Well, as you can see, we have tons of experience in Web3. So this promises to be a great session with lots of insights. Let's set the tone. And the first question for the panel, which I will throw for any of you to answer, is decentralization versus centralization. Which would be, would you say, the unique aspects of decentralization that affect go-to-market strategies?
Sure. So decentralization is a solution to a problem. And that problem is that something, even a nation-state level actor, could come and try to get your assets. And so the reason you want sovereign root ownership of your assets is to protect against a possible future where someone or something tries to get them from you. And a lot of stuff you could own online, you don't think anyone's going to try to get it from you. And so those things aren't necessarily use cases that need to live on a decentralized blockchain. But if it's something of value that you want to be able to independently store and control for the future, then it should be on a decentralized blockchain, and you should, as a thoughtful steward of that value, be able to access it directly. How does that affect go-to-market? Well, a lot of people get onboarded into crypto through centralized exchanges because they've made a pretty optimal UX for people to very easily do their first things that, it doesn't get you actual crypto, it gets you access to the upside from crypto. But then often it's the beginning of a Web3 journey where people learn from there and they decide to get a ledger, or they decide to get a MetaMask and to experiment with DeFi and to learn more from there. So it's not a bad thing necessarily, it's just a gateway, it's an on-ramp. If you want a project that's decentralized from the beginning and that has sovereign root ownership from the beginning, it might involve more of a UX challenge because people might need MetaMask or another wallet from the beginning and go through a slightly more complicated workflow because there is just more onus on the wallet holder if you are taking sovereign control of your assets than if someone is charging to do it for you.
That's a very good start. Owen?
I'm totally according with the importance to be the owner of your different assets. I'm also personally thinking that at the end of the day, it's one of the most important value had by the blockchain. The way that we can create a new system to communicate, to exchange value, and to creating something digital and unique as NFT, as cryptocurrencies. But actually, I'm also looking at the market and the network, and I know that when you are launching a token or a solution, decentralization, it's not really important for all users. We are looking of it is possible to make money. I will receive an airdrop or not. And yes, when you are creating your solution, you need for the future to think about the decentralization. But when you are launching your product and going to the market, sometimes, and I think it's not the right way to think about it, but the community is looking with this eye, and they are not always looking about the decentralization, and I hope that will change.
I think the only thing I'd add briefly, because those are good things, I think there's also an element of bringing along a community that's going to be a part of something. So it's not just you or a company, or it's not one-way direction. It's very collaborative communication when you think about that.
Yes, it is indeed. Thank you. I wanted to follow on Amanda's comment about user experience. Inevitably, the focus at the start is on the technology. Now, how is this sustainable in the long run, the heavy focus on technology over user experience? Can we try to simplify onboarding to reduce the aversion of non-technical users to adopt crypto?
Coming from the Web 2 environment, I might say that all our initiatives along the years of introducing Web 3 technology in direct relationship with our consumer, Web 2 consumers in our festivals, in our events, were pretty difficult and didn't have good results. Exactly the technical barrier is the main thing and the main reason why this couldn't be possible. And I think although the whole Web3 space is built around great minds that developed great technology and do innovation and bring innovation on a daily basis to the world, I think new focus should be maybe on this user experience part, and also having an eye and a new focus on how the normal user can get into this environment by having much simpler to use tools.
It feels like it's a very difficult balance to strike, onboarding those Web3 native users which have certain expectations and those Web2 users which are not necessarily familiar with the concept. Anything to add?
It's that, but I feel like as an industry, we've been talking about the UX and UI for years now, right? It's not a challenge that's been solved. And it's kind of like, why is it taking so long? And I think there are technical underpinnings that have to be solved, and there is still tech that's being built, whether it's security or privacy or obfuscating some amount of information or giving more access or having different types of oracles. Like, there are all these tooling and very technical components that need to be built, but I think because of that, and because there's a focus there and just getting shit to work, there's less of a focus on making it smooth and seamless and continuing to iterate on that part of it. I think there's not enough iteration. I know, Amanda, you're looking at the app space a lot more too, but I think there's not enough iteration on the consumer experience like there is, oh, there's also this component that's missing. I'm going to go build this now too, right?
Yeah, I think there's some cool tech innovations on this. Look up wallet abstraction and chain abstraction. Those are two useful things being built right now. And then there's starting to be some pretty good apps UX-wise. So I would turn people's attention to maybe Blackbird, which is a great kind of point-of-sale rewards project that's taken off in New York, and there are a lot of things like that. So there's starting to be some pretty good UX apps out there. Basically, like on the marketing go-to-market side, we think of there being two levers. There's motivation, and then there's friction, right? And so how motivated is the person that's using or that you want to use your application? And then how much friction are they going to go through? And if they're motivated enough, then they'll surmount some degree of friction. But if they're barely motivated, then any bit of friction will turn them away. And so those are the two levers you have to figure out how to pull when you're thinking about growing a user base.
Excellent. We are going to move on to go-to-market strategies which are sustainable in the long run. Do you think that there are some sort of hype-driven GTM strategies that are hurting sustainability in the crypto industry. And it'd be good if we could have some examples here that can go from focusing on vanity metrics or things that are not necessarily sustainable in the long run. And by the way, I love the fact that we are talking about crypto long term, that we have a vision for the future. I think it's very important that we have that sort of end goal in the long term, very focused, because we tend to look at crypto as something that's happening in the here and now. So yes, what are those things that might be affecting go-to-market strategy when we are not thinking long term?
The momentum is one of the most important things in cryptocurrency. You can have the best technology, you can really trying to create a use case. If you're launching your token at the bad moment, if the market is not, if the wind is not in your sense, you can fail your launch. So I think in the go-to-market strategy, yes, you have your own marketing and communication strategy, of course, but you also have to take the decision and to keep the agility and to choose when you will launch it with your investors, but also with the community. Because it's a kind of contract that you are creating with your community and with your users. If they are, for example, waiting an airdrop or token, you know that when you will launch it, after the distribution, you will lose something like 70 or 80% of the interest. We just have to look about layer 2. For most important of the layer 2. So I think, yes, it's more than affecting your go-to-market strategy. It's the timer where you have to articulate your go-to-market strategy.
I would like to have the perspective of the investor, Keli, if I may. What things are you looking at in the project?
I think there's this element of authenticity from a founder, from a project, that they're being their authentic selves, that when they look at this stuff, I think a lot of people get caught up in, we have to reach these particular metrics, which there may be substance to, but I mean, in many cases, you can do enough activity and you're going to hit those metrics, right? But are they authentic followers? Are they people that are actually, overcoming and motivated enough, and they're overcoming whatever friction to use the first MEV of your project? Or and I think, the metrics are numbers that have to be checked for a bunch of different reasons. But I think when it boils down to it, it's this authenticity thing. And it's also, are the people and customers, are they really using it? Is the founder authentic in how he's talking about it, how she's talking about it? And are the customers that are using it? I was pitched something here over the past couple of days, and there was a slide of the early adopters, early use cases. Well, one of those logos happens to be another portfolio company. I was very easily able to ping that portfolio company and say, are you using XYZ plugin? And it was, well, we onboarded and we looked at it, but it didn't really fit. We're using this other thing instead. And so having authentic users and authentic solutions, I think there's an element, there's still all this collaboration in crypto. I think there's authenticity that's important.
It is still small. Amanda, you're the one who puts together all these strategies for the projects. What would you advise in terms of...
Yeah, so I'm going to answer your earlier question about what's wrong with everything.
Yes.
Which is, are you familiar with Goodhart's law? So it's the idea of a measurement becomes the target. And so right now, centralized exchanges, whether it's Binance, whether it's Coinbase, have a huge amount of control over the amount of demand for a token because they're exposing a new token to a new buyer base. I think in the future, they won't have so much control, and a lot more of this will be decentralized and over the DEXs. But for now, those centralized exchanges will come up with these requirements. You want your Twitter a certain size, you want your Discord a certain size, these measurements, like what Keli was saying, that were a genuine attempt at one point to try to make sure they list things with good communities, with users, but then those things ended up getting good-hearted. And so a lot of these projects will just buy a bunch of Twitter followers, a bunch of Discord followers in order to arbitrarily meet the listing requirements. Well, what that does is it just creates a market for fake stuff and makes the space worse. And so a great way to see if something has fake or real followers is look at the quality, look at the engagement. And those exchanges are wising up, right? They're not going to list something that has 200,000 fake followers on it. They can use on-chain data to figure out what's going on with these projects. So what I would say, and what we always do with our projects, is try to find product market fit. Be serious. Start with your early evangelists, people in your target audience group that are the kinds of users that you would want for your product. See if they're willing to use it at your price point. Refine your messaging once you get fit with them to the next concentric circle of potential users, and rinse and repeat. You can read Eric Rice, The Lean Startup. All of that methodology applies in the crypto space. And I think if more projects tried to find genuine product market fit, community market fit, as opposed to good-hearting some of the centralized exchange listing metrics, we just have higher quality products with more fit.
Yes, that's an excellent advice. Bogdan, is there anything you would like to add in terms of your own experience as a founder?
Yeah, my thoughts go to the question, who was first, the chicken or the egg, you know? I mean, who is responsible? The market helped this habit, or the projects made the market bad? So I think coming from Web 2 and also from the entertainment industry, of course, in our industry as well, there are momentums and good times to launch new projects and everything. But I think we also in the Web3 environment, we need to enter a kind of normality and, I don't know, more predictable times. Because although now it's predictable for a project to succeed in a time where it's a lot of, I don't know, bull rallies and good times for money intake and everything, but I guess the environment should be more stable also in terms of, hey, if I have a good idea and a good project and I put together a good team and I have a good solution and I want to go out there in a year, then in 1 year where there's not there's not that much hype in the market, I should be able to do that and have a chance to succeed. And I guess now there's a layer of VCs and strategic partners, then you can have this conversation and they can support doing this. We were lucky as well, because we were developing our solution since 8 years ago and we didn't launch into Web3 space. But now we're ready, and I said to my colleagues and my partners that independent of the state of the market, we will launch, because this is the perfect time for our solution to be adopted by the people, and it comes as a solution for the whole industry. I don't really care regarding the
cycle.
Yeah, exactly, the cycle, yeah.
Interesting. I think it's a very valid point. We touched side in the previous question about the importance of early adopters and how crucial that is for a project. We were discussing earlier that the strategies to incentivize those early adopters tend to change with the cycle. So I would be interested, myself and the audience, to hear what are the recommended strategies to incentivize those early adopters. And I know it is important to select them, and once you select them, how do you keep them engaged and how you make them become evangelical about your project or your solution. So I think we could do a whole session about this, but let's try to.
I think we have two important things to consider before answering. The first thing is the period, because, for example, making a good tokenomics, it's not the same question today in 2024 that was in 2017. Because standards, because different projects try some patterns and some framework and evolve. So we have to first consider the period and basically the average things that all the projects and all the blockchain are just distributing to users. The second thing will be the product, a blockchain that will mainly be around the tokenomics. Some project will be also about the airdrop, because now, more than ever, airdrop is one of mechanism, a kind of contract to engage your community and to generate your first early adopter. And of course, the perfect example is Layer 0. They are trying to find Sibyl and to kill every fake account and every bot account trying to just get token, to dump it and to go away. So the perfect answer of your question is still looking for every project creator and every investors today. That's why we have to continuing to follow different trends and to experiment things about it. But if at the end you take the time to, of course, airdrop your community, to give something to early adopter, but you add the time to show a real use case and to present your solution, after the drop, if the most important part of the community leave, some people using the solution and discovering it will stay again and again. And I think it's why it's that the most important thing that the project is paying by distributing community, in addition to trying to decentralize the governance for some project, it's also buying the time to show an UX experience and to explain, that is my solution. I'm trying to solve this problem. What do you think about it? Try it, test it, make a feedback, and one day you can receive something.
Establish those feedback loops is important as well.
I think we're so used to thinking airdrops and when can I unlock them, when can I sell them, and go. I think if you take it back to first principles, it's like anything that you get people excited and incentivized in. You know, what's the financial motivation? What's the community engagement? What do I get to be a part of? What's the movement? What's the emotional component? And then, you know, what are the membership benefits and what's the long term? Like, what am I building towards? What's the overall goal? And I think we don't do a lot of the airdrop is so quick and fast. Like, we don't do a lot of the longer term, okay, you know, the original community that was a part of this since day one, if you're still here in 2 years, 3 years, like, here's our vision for a couple years out, a couple months out, a couple more years out, and sort of getting people involved in the whole thing, not just, here's the airdrop, here's when you can unlock and sell it, and like, here's what we're doing, right? Like, there's more to it. What are the benefits, the tangibles and intangibles that go around?
I would like to see a new mechanism where people get airdropped more, or they can buy at a better price if they commit to not selling it for longer, in kind of like a reverse Dutch auction kind of mechanism. Because right now there's this like weird thing where people say that they're big believers in a certain project, but then they also have fiduciary duty, they run a fund or something, and so then once they get the token liquid, they have to DPI that back to their LPs. And so they have to immediately take those profits, and it's not about whether they believe or don't believe, it's just their incentive. And so if you actually, instead of condemning that, if you actually take that into tokenomic design, I think there's a lot of mechanism invention ahead of us still that can transform stated believers in projects into actually committed believers in projects. And we've seen some of this innovation start with just like staking, right? Oftentimes now, right out of the gate, after you do an airdrop, there will be staking available for a particular project, which is incentivizing people to basically do just that, to get rewards by locking up their tokens. But I think there's something like even deeper to be done at the mechanism design level, so that you're rewarded really directly for being a long-term holder or believer. And I think people are innovating some of this. Points is interesting, but I think there's more to do.
Just add a small point on it, because I think it's very important. Because different projects are trying different way to incentivize community, they are now trying to distribute points. So people are now farming points, and after that, the project will take the decision to distribute a ratio from you have X point, we will give you X token, but you keep a blur, a kind of control from the project.
Isn't that just like pulling the airdrop closer in?
Yeah.
Right?
And the second thing is you can make different drop in different moment. Don't give all the supply at one time, so people continue to be incentivized and to hope something more in the second.
Keeping them engaged.
But it's not just the hope. Like, to Amanda's point, like, there's other mechanisms that need to be put into place, like keep people.
Of course.
What are those milestones? What are those? There's going to be things to do and stuff.
I actually think points is pretty cool. Like, you don't have to have your airdrop ready or your blockchain ready, but you can start getting the benefits of extrinsic incentives right on the platform, and start getting that benefit from day one if you want. You can start gamifying some of these points experiences.
It's like a loyalty system in a way, trying to reward those who are loyal to your project and then get to the next level. It's fascinating. This question I really like, is you've also mentioned, Amanda, that you've learned a lot from things that didn't go well, which I think it's good examples for everyone. Which would you say are the most common pitfalls in achieving product market fit, and what listen up? What are the things that marketers should avoid in their strategies?
I think it's really important to be a hungry hippo for distribution and figure out like where distribution exists. Where are there a bunch of people that want to use your thing, and really lean into that. I think our space has a lot of infrastructure in it right now relative to the number of applications. And there's a lot of very kind of ivory tower technology thinking, like a build it and they will come kind of idea. And investors are willing to invest in that kind of infrastructure because of the risk-reward profile. Like if an L1 does succeed, right, the reward is so high for the investors that even if it has a fairly low chance, they're still going to take that chance if it's somewhat high. But what that ends up creating is, the actual users, the actual applications are pretty difficult to find and difficult to compete for. And so starting with that, starting by really knowing your audience, knowing your user, getting yourself in the path of distribution is so important rather than building it first and then figuring out that retroactively.
I would say the feedback loop. We've got portfolio companies that are very, very good at just pounding the pavement, new partnerships, new people they're onboarding, but they're never staying stagnant. They're constantly trying to say, okay, what else do you need? Or why isn't this working? Oh, you didn't like it? Why are you going to this other? They don't do these things, right? And so it's this constant dialogue, constant feedback in a quality way.
Yeah. Bogdan, is there anything from your experience as the founder that you would like to add?
Coming from a country where the whole entertainment industry, for example, didn't have the latest or the newest technology or the latest suppliers or the best options in terms of scaling up the business, I think I'm a big fan of build a car while you drive it. And this is something that is as an advice for young entrepreneurs and people that start creating new projects with a lot of beta testing. The back and forth feedback is very useful, but there is a warning here regarding the feedback circle. I guess you need to be very close and be very attentive from who you get the feedback, because it can be misleading. So I think the advisory boards and also the people that are close to the project in the development phase, it's critical for the success of a project. So this is my take on it.
Thank you. Right, we had Google Analytics and lots of other tools in Web 2. How do we measure success now for go-to-market strategies? What are the things that we are looking out? What are the data points that we should analyze to say, right, we are getting things right, or no, we are sidetracking, we should change the course of action?
Things that will depend to the product, of course, because if you are, for example, a centralized institution or an exchange, you will have different way to see it, like users acquisition, the time that the users will spend in your platform, if the users will come back or not, your churn, etc., etc. In the other way, if you are a blockchain, you have to check if people are trying different protocol, the number of transactions, and basically every on-chain activities. So depending of the product, but also the nature of the business, on-chain or off-chain, you will have to check different strategic KPIs for your business.
Different metrics. I think the beauty of having information on chain of things like tokens or NFTs is super valuable for Web3 marketers as well. And it's something that we didn't have in the Web2 world.
Yeah, so the blockchain is the best CRM ever. If you think about what the Google AdWords is, Google Ads, what the various meta business suites are, they're taking personal data and try to extrapolate buying behavior from personal data. But the blockchain is just the data about buying behavior without your identity necessarily exposed, unless you've KYC'd. And so you have the pool of data that you want most as a marketer. The problem is, because it's early, there hasn't yet been what we call, and we coined this term, wallet awareness. And I think that's the next step for metrics in the space, is wallet awareness, which means every time you're paying for some kind of marketing campaign, you're not just tracking actions taken off-chain, which already have pretty good attribution tools, but also how those link to actions taken on-chain, so that you can trace the full cycle of attribution to actions on-chain, actions off-chain, actions on-chain, actions off-chain. We're actually building this, we're building an integrated stack to do this with Spindle, which was started by Antonio Garcia, who was one of the first people to work on the Meta advertising tools. And so we're building this, and hopefully this is going to enable companies and projects and marketers to spend more efficiently to grow their projects and get users.
Super important to be able to measure that success, also to replicate the strategies or to avoid them. Right, we have one more topic to run, which again could be a whole session. How can specialized media influence your go-to-market strategy? What's their role, would you say, in validating the work you do? And this can be, about media focus, shaping market sentiment, or sort of you as a founder building relationships with specialized journalists. Let's not forget that crypto has a big PR problem, and those who are not in the sector generally find negative coverage on. It's much easier to find negative stuff about crypto than the good stuff, in spite of the fact that there is a lot of good stuff happening. So what would the role of media be? What would you say to that? And I appreciate it's a very broad question. And we have an influencer on the panel as well.
I was going to say, can you answer that? I think, this is less my world, but I think that from my perspective, there's so much going on at the very early stage of crypto, very early stage founders, very initial early ideas. And yes, there's a lot of them, and yes, it's hard to sift through. I wish there was more coverage and acknowledgement of some of the very early attempts and tries and fits and starts that were happening in crypto.
In many questions, I already try it. I already do it for some customers, and I had a very good and a very bad experience. So I know that in period of trending, when in bull run, for example, in 2021, with a good marketing, a good pitch, without any solution, just some promise in a PowerPoint, you can shape the market sentiment, you can launch something, and you can pump it hard. And if you have a good financial scheme to maintain the price and to manage it, you can have a good price action in the market. That is true. Cryptocurrency are actually working like that. But I think if you want to touch your community and you want to communicate through media or also KOL, if you are really authentic, if you want to create something and you got the conviction that you can create it, in addition to have the good momentum and a good marketing, it's better because you will not just have a success, you will have a chance to deliver it and not only creating value at T moment, but really creating value in the long run. And I think it's always the same thing. You have to capture the value at one moment. You need to raise money, you need to hire people, you need to invest in your team, human resources, and deliver something. But yes, if you capped only the value and you don't think about the real way to deliver it and to communicate about what do you want to do, what kind of problem do you want to solve, at this moment that will just be a small moment of glory, and you want something like in the long run if you want to deliver to the market.
I think there's a lot of distrust of crypto and by crypto journalists of projects, and I think that's completely healthy, because if that makes a single person do their own research instead of believing in some scam project, then that's healthy skepticism. That's given that person more discernment to be able to make a good decision. And how we navigate that at Serotonin is, as an agency, we're not guns for hire. We only work with projects that we think actually contribute to accelerating the decentralized Web3. And I hope, we work a lot with you guys, with others. I hope that we've formed these long-term trust relationships with a lot of the media that we talk to, and they know that about us, and they can trust our discernment that we would only send them a good project and that we're able to separate the wheat from the chaff. And that's part of the value that we add as a company.
It would be interesting to know about your relationship with the media.
Yeah. Well, having business relationships with both traditional media outlets in the entertainment world, specialized in music media outlets, then coming to the Web3 media environment, I actually had a very pleasant surprise. I think the Web3 media outlets and also the key contributors and the KOLs from this space are evolving in the right direction. I think the fact that there's a lot of money involved, the responsibility is much bigger on their shoulders than in traditional media. And what I see is it's kind of, although you can think of it as a closed community and everything can be bought if you have the right resources, now I really think that the main media contributors in the Web3 space have this due diligence element that is much more thought and well done than back in the 4 or 5 years. And this thing, it isn't present these days in the traditional media. So although I think there's things from the traditional media like checking the information from 3 sources, this is something really nice to have and nice to integrate, and maybe it happens in the Web3 space as well. But I think the Web3 media outlets should have their own journey, their own evolution, because I think it has a chance to be much more better and relevant than the traditional media.
Thank you, and you speak from experience, which is great. I think, looking at the time, we have time for just one question. If there's one from the audience, there's someone. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for sticking around.
Hello, everyone. That was very interesting to hear you talk about airdrops. I have a question about this subject. What do you think about making KYC to kind of delete all the bots that we can find in this ecosystem, especially today when we know that Zk Era just drops millions of dollars to his community, and I think 20 or possibly more is only bots. So what do you think about this?
I'm seeing Marvin every day to the office, so I'll let you answer.
You mean KYC from an investor's point of view?
Yeah, whatever. Like if you want to farm an airdrop, it should be good to put KYC when you want to claim your airdrops. So you know that we know that you're not a bot and could be more fair for the community, no?
Your question is for investors. What should investors be looking?
For people that receive airdrops.
And should they be KYC'd versus not? That's the question?
Yeah.
Freedom, no KYC.
Yes, we removed the question that we had on compliance and
Yeah,
KYC.
we didn't get into regulation for some reason. I don't know. I mean, I think it's crypto, right? It's your wallet. Like Amanda went deep on like it's your wallet.
Right? Crypto should be fair. I understand that decentralization is very important, but when we know that people can have, I don't know, like thousands of wallets that could be eligible to Zk Era, if we put KYC on, that will be easier. I think so. But
I think also to the point made earlier on this panel, like there's new mechanics that get put into place that could get interesting here. Like some of these problems have to be solved for. They're challenges.
Yeah, so I think there are going to be a lot of administrations that place KYC requirements on certain crypto activities. If you're using a centralized exchange, you are doing KYC already. There's a bunch of capital that is willing to submit to KYC in order to have a certain user experience or get access to a certain product. Then there's a bunch of capital that does not want to and would not submit to KYC. And there will always be applications that serve the capital that does not want to and would never commit to KYC. And so I think there will always be a world of non-KYC'd crypto and applications that are, you know, maybe ZK wrapped or just pseudonymously private on chain. There will always be that world, and then there will be a world of KYC'd wallets or like wallets on exchanges. There'll be companies like Chainalysis that make money from trying to reveal the pseudonymous owners of a given wallet. And there will be bridges between the KYC'd and non-KYC'd worlds. Like there will be soul-bound tokens you get in your wallet that KYCs that wallet, even while being a self-sovereign wallet, in order to access a certain product that has chosen to be in a certain jurisdiction where that's required. There's not really a bridge to un-KYC your wallet once you've KYC'd it, but I think there will always be bridges in the other direction. So the truth is there'll be both pools. I wouldn't advise a project to add KYC unless there was some reason for them to, like they're required to, or that there's some kind of benefit to them to do it.
Or a capital requirement or an investor requirement. The important thing, to your point, is that there will be, crypto will be able to cater for both. And there are enough projects out there as well.
I think you also have to explore different solutions in terms of liveness, because we will be able to check if it's a single humans behind an address without taking any personal documentation. So I think it's also a way that we have to explore with liveness checking without personal data, etc.
That's all we have time for, I think.
Hi. So crypto has been around for years, and I think, Owen, you briefly touched on the fact that right now people are only using products whenever they get paid for that, and then they drop it and they forget about the product. While when we look at AI, we have to pay for it and people actually use it. So my question would be, what is the strategy beyond the financial incentives to use a product that some projects might use to keep their users?
Well, there are a couple of really great products that people are paying to use on chain. Ethereum, Bitcoin, right? You're paying fees when you use those things. You're selling block space. Those projects are selling block space. There's demand for them. It's being priced at a certain rate, and there are fees to use it. Then there are games that people use and pay to use on chain, all kinds of different utilities, oracles that they give various cuts to. They're paying various DeFi platforms and protocols. And then there's stablecoins. And a lot of these stablecoins have great business models. Arguably, Tether is the best business on earth. They made $45 billion in Q1 exporting the US dollar on blockchains. So there's a lot of businesses with product market fit in crypto that people use and pay for that they aren't being paid to use.
The important thing is that they solve a problem, like stable coins do.
Yeah, and look, like all the paid tactics for user acquisition are fine if people keep on using your product, to your point, once you stop paying them. I think it's a really good proof in the pudding to see, like, what do people do when you're not paying them to do it? And maybe they've learned about the product for the first time through some kind of extrinsic reward, but if they stay afterwards, then it was worth it. If they don't stay afterwards, then it was just a bribe.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for staying at the session. Thank you to all the panelists. I hope I will see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our speakers for such an informative panel. It sounds like a lot of intuitive elements are still in play, even if we're looking at blockchain as it relates